Let's take a look at the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Curse of the Black Pearl cast from their earliest days to today. Who would you recognize on the street? First up, Geoffrey Rush, who played the legendary Captain Barbossa. Geoffrey is 73 now, but in 2003 he was 51. Geoffrey had a rich background in classical music before he pursued acting, and his character Barbossa was far from a typical pirate. Interestingly, Geoffrey was originally reluctant to take on the role, unsure if it would be a good fit for him, but after meeting with the director, he gave it a shot. The result? Barbossa became one of the most iconic characters in the franchise. On set, Geoffrey often wore heavy prosthetics, and one of his most memorable moments involved a grueling 12-hour day under makeup, yet the perfect look for Barbossa's first date. These days, Geoffrey remains active in both film and theatre, with recent roles in The King's Speech and Shakespeare in Love.
Gents, take a walk.
Next is Orlando Bloom, who portrayed Bill Turner. Orlando is 48 now, but in 2003 he was just 27. Before Pirates, Orlando was already known for his role in The Lord of the Rings. But did you know that he had zero experience in sword fighting when he took on the role of Will? To prepare, Orlando trained rigorously for months to perfect his sword fighting scenes. The fun fact is that during one of the major action sequences, Orlando accidentally cut himself with a sword. But his dedication paid off, and his swashbuckling skills became one of the highlights of the film. These days, Orlando has remained a staple of blockbuster franchises, including the Hobbit series and the Lord of the Rings films, and continues his advocacy for environmental causes.
We have to make a stand. We must fight! Load the guns!
By the way, thanks William Murray for subscribing. We really appreciate it. Subscribe too, and you might be featured in the next video. Now let's talk about Jack Davenport, who played James Norrington. Jack is 53 now, but back in 2003 he was 34. Jack came from a background in British theatre, and although Norrington was meant to be a serious character, Jack's meticulous attention to detail brought depth to his role. Interestingly, Jack was initially unsure about taking on the role of a stoic naval officer, as he felt the character might be too rigid, but after collaborating with the director, Jay gave Norrington more complexity, which ultimately made him one of the film's most memorable characters. On set, Jack spent hours in his heavy military uniform, which became a challenge during long shooting days. Today, Jack remains a beloved actor, known for his roles in Flash Forward and The Man in the High Castle.
I thought we might have to endure some manner of ill-conceived escape attempt. But not from you.
Next is Kevin McNally, who portrayed Duchamp Gibbs. Kevin is 68 now, but in 2003 he was 47. Kevin, a veteran of British television and theatre, initially didn't think he would be part of the Pirates due to the film's vast scope, but once he read the script and understood his character's importance, he jumped in. Kevin is known for his ability to bring humor and heart to his roles, and he did just that with Gibbs. In fact, many of Gibbs' most iconic lines were improvised by Kevin himself. On set, Kevin was famous for his camaraderie with his co-stars, which helped lighten the mood during the film's grueling action scenes. These days, Kevin is still active, appearing in Pirate sequels, Doctor Who, and a variety of other projects.
Jack! It's no fair to wake a man when he's sleeping. It's bad luck.
Let's talk about Jonathan Pryce, who played Governor Weatherby Swann. Jonathan is 77 now, but in 2003 he was 58. Jonathan, before becoming an iconic film actor, spent years in theatre, which gave him a unique approach to playing a character like Governor Swann. He brought a strong presence to his role, and one fun fact is that Jonathan was known for his meticulous attention to detail in his costume. He actually worked with the costume department for hours to ensure his outfit was historically accurate. In fact, Jonathan's perfectionism on set was so apparent that it earned him the nickname the costume guru among the crew. These days, Jonathan continues his prolific career in both theatre and film, most recently starring The Two Popes and The Wife.
This is the path you've chosen, is it? After all, here's a blacksmith.
Now let's talk about Lee Ehrenberg, who portrayed Pentel. Lee is 60 now, but in 2003 he was 39. This character, Pentel, was often paired with Rajetti, played by Mackenzie Crook, and together they provided much of the comic relief in the film. A lesser-known fact about Lee is that he had a hand in choreographic for some of the most comedic moments in film, specifically the slapstick humor between Pentel and Rajetti. Lee also spent hours perfecting his pirate accent, which he believed would help him get into character. Today, Lee continues to appear in both television and film, notably in Once Upon a Time and The Blacklist.
Time to go, Poppy.
Let's talk about Mackenzie Crook, who portrayed Ragetti. Mackenzie is 53 now, but in 2003 he was 32. Before Pirates, Mackenzie was already known for his role in the British version of The Office, but it was his portrayal of Ragetti that made him an international star. Did you know that Mackenzie had never played a pirate before Pirates of the Caribbean and had to spend weeks training for the role? On set, Mackenzie brought a lot of humor to Ragetti, and much of his character's quirky behavior was inspired by Mackenzie's own creative ideas. One of his most famous contributions to Ragetti's character was the iconic wooden eye, which became a running gag throughout the films. Today, Mackenzie has expanded his talents to writing and directing, particularly with the British comedy series The Detectorists.
I didn't sit through with the captain at all. Tell him what Barbosa did.
Next is David Bailey, who played Cotton. David is 76 now, but in 2003 he was 55. Cotton's character didn't speak much, but he still managed to make a lasting impression on audiences. A fun fact about David is that he was trained as an architect before pursuing acting. On set, David made sure that Cotton's appearance and mannerisms were distinctive enough to make his mute character memorable. His commitment to his character was so strong that he would often spend hours experimenting with body language to communicate with the crew. These days, David continues to appear in various films and TV shows, though Pirates remains one of his standout performances. Now let's talk about Damien O'Hara, who played Lieutenant Gillette. Damien is 47 now, but in 2003 he was just 26. Damien was initially cast in a supporting role, but his strong screen presence left an impact on the Pirates franchise. Did you know that Damien had a strong athletic background before becoming an actor? His dedication to physical fitness helped him pull off his character's naval expertise. On set, Damien was known for his dedication to ensuring his character was as realistic as possible, often researching military protocols and training methods. These days, Damien continues his career with roles in The Tudors and other historical dramas.
This ship cannot be crewed by 2 men. You'll never make it out of the bay.
Next up is Giles New, played Maltorm. Giles is 58 now, but in 2003 he was 37. Before Pirates, Giles worked extensively in theatre, which helped him bring a grounded performance to his role. Giles and Angus Burnett, who played Malroy, created a great dynamic on screen, bringing humour and chemistry to the characters. Did you know that Giles almost turned down the role because he was committed to a theatre project? However, he eventually agreed, and Pirates became a major part of his career. Today, Giles continues to act on television, appearing in various guest roles.
That Jack Sparrow. He talked about the Black Pearl.
Next is Angus Barnett, who played Malroy. Angus is 59 now, but in 2003 he was 38. Angus brought a lot of charm and humor to the role as Malroy, often improvising lines that made his character even more memorable. A fun fact is that Angus initially hesitated to take on the role, worried about being typecast as a comedian character. However, once he embraced the role, he became one of the most beloved side characters in the Pirate series. Today, Angus remains active in television and continues to appear in major shows like Little Britain and The Thick of It.
Well, there's no real ship that can match the Interceptor.
Now let's talk about Michael Berry Jr., who played Twig. Michael is 49 now, but in 2003 he was 28. Michael's role as Twig was a brief but important one in the film. He worked closely with the other actors to develop the tone and atmosphere of the ship scenes, and although Twig didn't have many lines, he made a significant impact. These days, Michael continues to act, but also works behind the scenes as a writer and producer.
Last time I saw you, you were all alone on a godforsaken island, shrinking into the distance. His fortunes aren't improving much.
Isaac C. Singleton Jr., who portrayed Bosun. Isaac is 58 now, but back in 2003 he was 37. Isaac's towering presence made him perfect for Bosun, the stern and imposing pirate. Did you know that Isaac trained extensively in martial arts before filming Pirates? This helped him perform some of the film's most intense action sequences. Isaac's dedication to the role was so apparent that he was often asked to give direction to other cast members during the more physical scenes. Today, Isaac continues to work in film and television, with roles in Star Wars and other franchises.
You two! You brought us the wrong person!
Keira Knightley as Elizabeth Swann. Keira is 39 now, but back in 2003 she was only 18. Keira's role is Elizabeth, Swann was her breakout moment, as she quickly became one of Hollywood's leading actresses. Keira spent weeks preparing for her sword-fighting scenes and became quite skilled with the blade by the time filming wrapped. On set, Keira was known for her professionalism and dedication to making Elizabeth a strong, independent character. Today, Keira has built an impressive career with roles in Atonement and The Imitation Game, and she remains one of the most talented actresses of her generation.
Then release me. You have your trinket. I'm of no further value to you.
Last but certainly not least, Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Johnny is 61 now, but back in 2003 he was 40. Johnny's portrayal of Jack Sparrow was a game-changer, as he famously based the character in his idol Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. This quirky, rock-star-inspired approach was unexpected but ultimately became one of the most iconic performances in film history. Johnny's improvisational skills were on full display, with the entire scenes being altered based on his creative input. Today, Johnny is still one of the world's most famous actors, starring in films like Fantastic Beasts and Alice in Wonderland.
That's the second time I've had a horse that man sail away with my ship.